Well, that was interesting to say the least. Yes. Tell us what brings you to a place where you can write this type of material and deliver it in such a fashion.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about the writing. Writing I would just for those sorts of things I just picked a starting point and just tried to be odd with it. But I do like putting science things into poems. I do like that. But as far as the performance, I worked for a company called Poetry Alive for about 8 years, and teams of 2 actors would go around the country performing poetry at schools, and that's what I did. That was, and I loved doing that. And so,
how long ago was that?
I think my last shows were in 2010.
When did you start doing that?
Around 2002, but there were some breaks in there.
Okay.
So yeah.
So where did you start? When did you start getting into writing and poetry and that whole thing?
I guess inspiration for writing was in high school. I saw a poem by William Carlos Williams called "The Red Wheelbarrow." So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. That's the poem. And I saw that and I was like, man, I can do better than that. It's like, that's so freaking easy. Come on. So I started writing stuff, and of course my stuff was better than that. I mean, right away.
Of course, it has to be.
So
you already made the statement.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started. Later I learned it might be tougher than I thought, but that's how I started. And then I started performing. I go into open mics, and I lived in Dallas for a while, and then I went to something called a slam because I didn't know the difference between a poetry slam and an open mic, and I started slamming. And slamming, for those of you who don't know, it's poetry competition. People in the audience just randomly chose and give you scores from 0 to 10, and whoever gets the highest score at the end of the night wins. Basically, there are other rules, but and I was like, so the difference to me was that in an open mic you do your poetry, and in a slam you might win something. So I started slamming. I was like, okay, I can, I got a $15 gift certificate for a bookstore. Woohoo! That was fun. And then I moved to Arizona. I said, oh, there's a slam in the paper, and I went to that, and I came in 3rd at that slam, which is cool. But it turns out that was the slam to see who made the team to go to nationals. So I made their team. That was really neat, and that's why I started performing a lot. And then when I moved to Winston-Salem, I found out about a group called Poetry Alive through some people that I knew here in the slam community. Kim Holzer and Bob Moyer knew about that, Carrie Gerstmann. And then that's how I started performing that stuff. And Poetry Alive performs only other people's stuff, and slam, you perform only your stuff. And I like both.
Okay, and what are you doing mostly right now?
I'm working in 2 libraries part-time. And every once in a while I'll get a gig, a performance gig, or like for Earth Week, I'm going to do some poetry in Kentucky and Tennessee. Or no, just Kentucky and Missouri, and then I do the poetry performance workshops also, mostly because I met somebody who's involved in environmental education. They wanted to expand how you can teach environmental education, not just through scientific stuff, but through the arts. And so they asked me to do that.
You're teaching these workshops?
Yeah, I'm leading those workshops. Okay. and using ecologically themed poems like haiku, always nature related, and have been helping them think about environmental education in an artistic way, not just a scientific way.
Do you have a collection of your works?
I do. I actually I've been driving around with a bunch of chapbooks in my car since like 2002. I just put some chapbooks together, so they're in my car. I'll sell them for $5. I'll just
Are they printed?
Yeah,
they're printed.
Yeah, they're printed out. They're ready. I don't have to assemble them. They're already.
They're bound.
Yeah, if you buy one, I'll give it, and I'll sign it if you'd like.
Okay.
If you want me to, but it's out in the car, and I always forget about it. So,
yeah.
But so one's a book of poems in form, which I call informal, of course, and then there's a bunch of limericks, and then I have
out
some
of
other,
form.
Yeah, out of
form.
other forms in the form of limericks. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, and songwriting, you write some songs,
Right.
and you blend these things obviously together.
Yes. I learned how to play guitar because I love. There's a songwriter named Phil Oakes, and I love his music. I just love, and I learned all the lyrics for his songs, a bunch of them, and then I would go to gatherings where people would be playing music, and I'd say, "Hey, do you know any Phil Oakes?" And they would either go, "No," or "Who's Phil Oakes?" And so that doesn't help. And so they knew Bob Dylan and all that stuff. But so I said, okay, I got to learn how to play guitar so I can sing Phil Oakes songs. So I did. And then, I played for a while, stopped playing for about 4 years, and then I started playing again and then writing stuff to sing while I play my own stuff.
Yeah.
Do that some.
Yeah.
Yeah.